Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Captain RL with Bottom Fishing 24/7. Today, we're going to talk about the chain of chum. When you're refishing, snapper, grouper, muttons, hogfish, whatever it may be, whatever kind of bottom fish you're after, AJs. I mean, it doesn't matter. We're going to look at the chain of chum and how that works. Now, my early history as a bottom fisherman, that's all I like to do. So, anyways, that being said, the chain of chum I learned from commercial fishing before I started chartering. I got into that when I was 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. That age frame is when I was commercial fishing with somebody very, very good locally that fished Northeast Florida. He was a very, very good bottom fisherman. I've seen him do stuff with a shrimpy jig that would blow your mind on gags and scamps. It was unbelievable in 100 to 200 feet. It really didn't matter. He'd take that 2-ounce shrimpy jig and just do amazing things with it. And he was one of those guys that didn't drop 20 hooks per rig. You know, we earned those fish back in those days. I'm no drawer. I'm no artiste of anything, but trying to fish. But I'm no drawer. So check this out. And I'll try to explain the chain of chum to you. It should come out all right, I hope. And we'll look at how this is as far as the chain of chum goes. This is for when, especially, you have a lot of current running, and you know, your chum's just going back into oblivion. It's not helping. So I'll start this by saying you will need a chum cage. And there's lots of good places. You can get them off Amazon from Lee Fisher. Been a sponsor of ours for quite some time. And there's other places to pick up chum cages as well. But what the cage does is it allows, and you can buy different mesh sizes too for the chum to come out, the pieces that you want to come out and how fast. It's 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch squares. Mesh. That's all they're made out of, and then they're clipped together with different weights. It depends on who makes them, how they put the cage together. It's a rectangle, obviously. They work really well. We use them, and that way you can stagger the depth of your chum cage depending on how deep you are and what you're trying to do in the column or all the way on the bottom. So, anyways, let's get into this. So, what I want to do is spot lock the trolling motor. I've got a Rodan on my Grady, and on our other boats too, but specifically that Rodan, it's a really strong, trolling motor. And this, obviously, you guys know what a Rodan 84 is. It's the first, spot lock motor they came out with for offshore boats. And again, I've got the latest model one because it's just so stout. This isn't a Rodan commercial. I'm just telling you guys that the new one they have, the newest one's out. Yeah, I don't care how big your boat is. My boat is 32 feet and it's 11 feet wide. And in wind and current, it'll hold it. Not even a half speed. It'll hold it in a knot and a half or two of current. It'll hold that boat all day long with triple 31 batteries in it. I've been talking about chum cages, so I guess I need to show you guys one. This is one of ours. It's just a generic chum cage. This one's got a 1/2 inch mesh. And this stuff's, it's a little heavier than hardware cloth, but it really reminds you of it. And this one opens, this one's got a tooth claw that hooks in, that opens the door. And that will fit one chum block. It's got about 2 or 3 inches, maybe 2 inches to the side of it once you put it in, and not much height left over. So it's really made for one chum block. But I can slide a few, fish heads or something into the side if I need to, just for smell. Depending on what I'm targeting, I may slide a few, dead sardines or a couple bonita strips or bonita belly, just something else in there beside the chum block. But that's really what they're made for, is just a chum block. But the great thing about these is, like I said, you can mount that camera right on top of it. You can zip tie it on with heavy duty zip ties, and then your weights, just so they don't move around and this thing stays somewhat, level as it can be as you drop it. I put a 20-ounce weight inside here, zip tied on through the hole in the weight, a bank sinker, or a cannonball with a loop, like I said. and a 20 ounce on this end. So it's, you know, somewhat balanced. And you do have the weight of the chum block, but it wants to float. As you guys know, they float on the surface. So that being said, those 20 ounce weight, it sinks. It does sink pretty much straight down like that, straight down. When you put the two 20 ounce weights, you know, one on each end. So put them inside that, put them inside the trap there. Shut the door and send her down with the block. And I like Menhaden chum, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, it just don't. So, okay. So once you anchor down, let's just, I'm no drawer, but that's the surface of the ocean. Okay. Let's just say the boat's here. Let me draw. That's two Yamahas. All right. Okay. I gotta put the name on there. Okay. Okay, here we are on the Grady, and current's running this way. So the current's running this way. So whether that's out or in, wouldn't really matter much. So current's running from right to left. All right, so first chum block, we're gonna drop the first chum block out, weighted with about 15 or 20 ounces of weight to here. This is our chum block in our chum cage, and this is at 15 feet. Let's say that's at 15 feet. What's going to happen here? The chum is going to want to not go straight down. If you got a knot and a half of current, 2 knots, which is about probably average for a lot of places. Some places not, and the Keys it can get less than that. But most places, you know, let's just use a knot and a half or 2 knots just for this demonstration. Okay, say we got 2 knots of current. We'll write that on here. Say 2 knots. Two knots of current. Okay, so when we deploy this to 15 feet, this chum is not going to fall very fast. It's going to do this. Okay, so with the current like that, or it could even be more extreme and go, you know, and remain further at the surface. But where is it not targeting? Where it's not targeting is directly below where we're fishing. Even if we're at the outboards, right here, even if we're at the outboards, fishing straight down, we're not getting anywhere near where that chum is on the bottom. And if we're slow pitching or we got baits on bottom, we want to fish the bottom. That chum's not covering that. So we want that to draw the fish from further back. But what are we going to do about the fish straight below the boat? If you don't want to drop sandballs, because it's just a lot messier, let's do the second chum cage, because I'm going to have two bags or 2 blocks of chum regardless, and 2 chum cages. So to prevent the sand problem and having to mix all the oats up and the mess and the cat food, dog food, or the cut bait, whatever you put in your balls of sand, we're going to drop a second chum block. Now this works pretty good up to about, it's sitting good for deep water. This works good to about 70 feet because I've tried this a lot of times in a lot of different depths of water. So let's check it out here. So let's say the bottom here, let's say we got some live bottom down in here. And let's say this is 70 feet. That's how deep it is here. 70 feet at this spot, let's say, okay? We're going to take our second chum cage, and you need to put probably about, a set of 20 ounce weights in it, 2 20 ounce weights. So, second one, let's launch it down. So let's say the second one we drop off, we're going to send the second chum cage down to the bottom. Okay, now what's this one going to do? If we drop this to the bottom, and by the way, you want to bring it up just a little bit. Bring that chum cage on the bottom. Bring it up just a little bit. So just so it doesn't get messed up on the bottom as you're drifting around. Now, if you get a lot of relief on the bottom here, if there's lots of relief, bring it up 5 foot. You know, still going to cover the bottom. So when it starts to particulate and the stuff starts coming out, you're going to get more of this going on. It's going to run all down this bottom. And eventually it might get swept upwards later, looking at the cameras and what we've seen. But it's going to cover the bottom right here for you. That's going to be covered, which is what we want, because we're fishing where? We're fishing straight down. So, and even forward of that, even forward, I mean, nobody's fishing on top of the motor, right? So in some cases, guys, in some cases, I will take these and I will drop them from up by the bow and in right dead center, amidship of the boat on my cleat. I will run it down the gunnel to my cleat and over and down to the 70 foot. Usually, okay, it's close enough usually in the back, but you got to know where this stuff is. And if the current gets to be, extreme, these things are going to start scoping back a little bit too. And it's getting further from you. So you really got to be careful when you're fishing your rods with this. You just really got to pay attention, because it can get to be a mess, which is why a lot of people would just rather use sandballs and put their favorite whatever mixture of oatmeal and whatever else that they want to put in their sandballs and drop them wherever they want, front or back of the boat, you know, whether it's the bow or the stern, amidship, whatever. So you do have the problem of two strings. They're used very light string, like I said before, but you're still going to have that problem of those being in, you know, getting in the way of your fishing. So they are going to kind of be in the way, but you learn to fish around these. And if somebody hooks up something big, everybody knows the drill. Everybody knows, whoever's on the boat with us, they know. Get those chum cages up right quick. And let's fight this fish, and we'll redeploy everything. Sounds like a pain, but listen, the effects this will have on a good spot, even if it's not a great spot, you can make it one. As long as there's something nearby that's good, it's going to draw them to you. You know, if you want to draw fish out of structure, this is a great way to do it. And they'll come out of from everywhere. And I'll go through, you know, I'll run those chum cages for 2 hours. And I may bring this one back up to the top, or I may not. It just depends on what I'm seeing and the fish we're catching and what's on my sonar. And listen, if you guys have any questions, you know, about anything we're talking about here, I know it's kind of random talking about chum and showing illustrations and whatnot. Like I said, I'm no artiste when it comes to drawing. But if you guys have any questions about anything, just leave it in the comments or shoot us an email to fishwithus@gmail.com. And that's about it, guys. So, I hope you guys have a great Easter. And we'll talk to you soon here at Bottom Fishing 24/7. It's Captain RL signing out. You guys have a good day. Fish on.